Hello, thanks for clicking on to part 3 of setting up the WebSockets. At this point, I have no idea how long this is going to go. I had said at the beginning it was going to be one large video, but it is actually harder than I thought it was going to be. But that is fine. That's the fun part about learning. What we're going to be doing today is trying to set up step 4. So let's go back to step 4. So we're going to join room, join flow. There we go. Implement join room event server. So most of this is going to be done in the server, and I'm pretty sure I have this. So let's go over there now. I did try to fix a few things when as I've been going through these videos. I do use MVim. I love the setup and everything that's about customizing IDEs is like one of my passions. But sometimes you just live with certain things, right? And the more you start coding, the more you realize that you need certain like better tools. So I did go and make sure that like syntax and server LSP stuff is all fixed up. I tried to change the colors. I just made it cooler because I wanted to make it cooler, but I do think this would look better on the videos as well. So hopefully everything's easier to see. And I am now trying out Tmux for the first time, so we can running the servers here and using the ID, the CLIs for Codex and what is it? Anthropics one. I don't know why I can't think of it right now. But to use those, I'll just use everything here so we could be seeing it and don't have to be jumping around as much, hopefully, because we are using AI with this project. This is just a demo project again. Okay, so to get started here, so I have messed around with it. Then we kind of go into what I've done so far. I've made this debug ping so I could see how things work. So it's kind of see this in action here. So we're already in. Actually, no, I just started this. So let's go back into this. Okay, we'll do that here. We'll run that one. Yep. All right. And then do the same thing. I'm also doing an experiment with the music just because I feel like it's a little. I have some quiet moments when I'm talking, and I didn't like that it was just repeating on the last video. So hopefully, this really long playing while I'm talking isn't too loud. I'm worried it's going to be too quiet, and I'm not going to be able to adjust it. So that's going to suck. Local, yes. Okay, let's see here. So we have something random on line 45 on test components. What could it be? There we go. Okay, perfect. So we go to inspect here. All right, so client connected, client got debugging object, and we sent our Pong message here. So basically, on this main use effect, when a user connects to this client, this is going to run. And we're going to be able to have our logic in here for that, and our logic in server. Our all this stuff that we're listening to or emitting is going to happen within this connection handler, is what I think so far. The socket on is a listener, while the emit is a emitter. It sends basically how it sounds. Okay, so we're listening for a debug ping, which we call in the other file. And let me go open, and then we are now in test component. And let's go to server. Cool, that worked now. Okay, so we have socket.on here with the debug ping, and then in the use effect, we have debug pong on connect. Okay, so when we connect in our client, we will log that client connected just from the client. So that should happen on the console for the web browser. And then we'll emit a debug ping from the client to our server, letting them know that we got just sending a message, hello from client. That makes sense because what we could do with this is we can emit messages that are typed. If someone were to type something in, we could send that to our server to send to someone else. Perfect. That makes sense now. And then when the server gets it, it is listening for debug ping, which we sent, and it will take that and then it can emit it. So submit debug pong, and it will have the message, payload message from socket ID. And when it emits this, so it's emitting that to us basically, and it runs that because we are waiting for debug pong. Okay, and then we run debug pong, and when we run that, we get pong hello from client. Pong hello. Where do we enter? Where do we do the pong here? So we emit this debug pong, pong hello from client. So we send hello from client, and then we adjust it and add Pong back, and we grab it through the payload. Cool. Okay. So this is basically how we would send stuff to them. That is not our current objective. Current objective is to set up room join flow, and we'll be basically kind of doing the opposite of that. And since I'm pretty sure we have these here, yep. So add user socket to room. So we need to figure out how to do that. And basically on connection, this is where users. So what I'm thinking right now is, are we sending? Is the connection here from the component, or is it from the is it from the server? Oh wait, I have it here. Add user socket to room. So we need to add this user socket to room, which is what this is talking about. So we just join room. And I think the way you start the room is that. So we could probably do, it's, okay. So on connection, each socket is going to join main. So this should be add user socket to room, complete. And we want to track in-memory room members. Maybe we can do something like const room. And then I think I'm just going to actually just, every time it's run, what is that? Okay. So check on remember or track in memory. Oh man. And then we will, and then what we're going to do here is we'll minus it. So room minus. Okay. And then so emits present snapshot to new user. Okay. What did we make a present snapshot? Because that is another thing we kind of have messed up here. So let's go take a look at that. That is our types. All right. Presence snapshot. Okay. So first of all, we don't need these because basically these four things are what's called on the Socket.io API. So this is how we send information between client and server to client. So anything we want to be used will be within here. So if we do need some types, we'll use it. But present, snapshot, we most likely do need that to have something. So we can probably include an ID, but we shouldn't include the ID that they give us because it's giving me a bunch of warnings not to use that one. So what I can maybe do is, so we're gonna practice this with a debunk Pong. So we did a payload, which makes sense because it allows us to send like one thing, but with a bunch of stuff. And we'll give that a ID, which will be a number. And what else? Yeah, let's just include that ID for now. Okay, so since that's the case, let's actually save that. And let's go back here to, I was gonna delete that stuff, but now better to leave it. All right, so we're gonna go to server. And now we're actually gonna do something very similar to this because we need to emit a present snapshot. So socket.emit snapshot. And we will do the same thing because we're going to have that same payload. Okay. So what we'll do is for now, since we are debugging constantly, we'll log this. So console, and we'll say send presence snapshot. Okay. And so we're emitting this to them. So how are we going to how are we going to emit from there? Or just going to be listening? Yeah, I think we're just going to be listening. Okay, so actually, you see how we emit on that one? That's what I'm going to do. So we're going to do that. And we're going to actually do ID is going to be, we'll do it like this, user, and it's going to be room. And then here, oh no, we're just doing ID for now, right? Okay. So we're just gonna make it a string actually. All right, nice. So what I'm gonna do first before I call that a failure is call that. And we're gonna make a function that does very long, but we'll go with it. I think I would actually be able to do console.log client. Let's try this. Okay. Okay, so that compiled. That did compile. So this is still getting a error. Okay, so I double checked with AI. It told me I'm correct, and the reason what it reminded me of is I've been having some issues with the TypeScript server I set up. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I did try to set that up, and what's it called? It seems like I got duped again because it was working, or at least it wasn't giving the error. So now we'll test if it's working. So cool. Yeah, we should be logging here. Yeah, we should be logging here actually. Nice. All right. Yep, we got user one. Perfect. Oh, yes, I was doing this on another video. Client user two. Yes, let's go. So I was on a previous attempt of doing this. I was not opening up the inspectors for each of the browsers. So of course, I was getting the wrong answer for each one. So cool. Okay. So let's go back to here. Emits user joined to others. All right. So we're going to want to, okay. So let's go to, because there is a way to emit globally. All right, so just always going to send it to every other sender. I guess that's fine for now. For some reason. All right, so the emit is what you do. So all we need to do is and then what is the user joined? It's just going to have another payload here. All right, it's just going to be a string. Then we're going to server. All right, and then we're going to do socket.emit user joined, and then we'll just do what we did last time. So new user, and then we'll do the thing again. So we'll have to do this actually. I joined. Okay, and then we have to quit this horrible thing because TypeScript is not working with me. And that should be fine now. Yep. Okay, now we're going to go to our web app test, and we're gonna, so we're emitting, so we need a thing for that. So socket on user join, and then we'll write a function for that. And then we'll have a payload, and we're going to print this payload out. But we might actually start trying to use this on our thing. User. Oh, yeah, we are here actually. Log. What is user join message? Yeah. I don't know why it's not picking it up. Oh, I know why. Yeah, pain. Okay, so we will log that. Yeah. So so just got that emitted. So this is the original window here. So if you remember, we'll go left here. So we want that one up, that one high. Yep. We'll go inspect this one. There we go. And we got that here. So now both of these at the same time should get this one. Well, actually, we'll have to reload. Boom. User 3 emitted. Cool. I'm feeling pretty good that this is somewhat in the realm of what we wanted. Let's go ahead and clean this up. And we're finally starting to get it. We're starting to send messages back and forth between it. Oh, yeah. So what I want to try to do real quick is I just want to be able to emit this. So let's go ahead. Yeah, let's go ahead and close this out real quick right here. And what we're going to do is just have a paragraph. And we will have all right, and then load ID. So yes, because this is expecting a number. So and at this point, now that we're setting this to a string, we can do that. All right. There we go. Wait, does this reload? So this is now user 3. So it's all going. So user 2, but this is now, yep, user 3. Nice. Very exciting stuff. Okay. So I'm even now able to grab information and send it. All right. All right. So let's go over what it's saying I'm missing together. Um, so step 4, join flow is not implemented as an event flow. A server on the server file, users join immediately on connection, which I know that's how I did it. So they join the main automatically, but there should be joining through a room handler. Join room exists, and we have the type here, join room. All right, so our server to clients, we implemented that. So we go back to server and client. That is an emit. So if this other one that I want, the one that we're missing, is going to be right here. So it's going to be a socket dot on. Okay, so let's go socket dot on, and we are going to call this join room. And for now, it's just going to be an empty thing. But honestly, we will probably pass this This is where we can pass it a payload or something. But what we really want to do is pass it the current ID. So here the socket would be listening to it. So when it gets here, it will be coming from the client. So once join room is emitted from the client, it's going to join main. And do we want anything here other than a payload? I mean, then this. So at this point now we got to go to here. And on connect socket.emit user joined. Okay, so wait, let's go back here. Join room. So it's we're sending socket emit, which is making it join here. So then let's see here. We'll say console.log user. We can pass the user presence just so we know which user is being added. I think that would make sense. We'll just leave it like that, huh? Okay. So let's go reload. User 1. So user added to room. Oh, this would be, yep, it's right here. Okay. So this needs to be in here because we want to do it when someone joins the room, which makes sense. We're going to get rid of this because we don't need this anymore. And, okay, we're sending this to the wrong audience. It's told me that twice. All right, what do we need to do again for emitting to rooms? Ooh. All right, now I'm emitting, now I'm sending it to that room. Cool. Oh, yes. So we only want to do this when we join. Yeah, room members. And then we want to minus it. And then we want to say disconnect. How do we remove from room? Git.leave. Let me just do this. Yeah, we don't even need that last one anyways. Okay. So what I need to do here is just go to test component here. We do need to add a type to, okay, I forget what it was called, but we have it here. Shouldn't be too far. There it is. Server to client. We should be able to use this. Oh no, we're not going to be able to. yeah, so we want to get use rest as well because we want this as a ref. I guess there's something going on, like it's backwards here for some reason. All right, we're gonna give it a null value initially. Okay. Okay, so that's that. Put this be there. The only thing we're changing here is this has the type. Why isn't it getting this? Why isn't it getting this? Every time I ignore it not giving me the thing, like the autofill, something's wrong. Every time. I have no idea. Okay, what is it? Oh, I didn't put socket here. Oh my god. Server 2 events. Okay. Goodness. And then we update equals socket. Okay, so that's how we update it. That makes sense. Okay. That is, I'm doing that because I really haven't messed with types too much. So using that as help there. Yeah, we do want to set that to null. That makes sense. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, you've improved the right pieces. Your join flow is closer. Nice. So it's actually your join room is actually handled on server. Client emits join room on connection to in test component. User joined is now sent to others with socket to main in server. Cool. What still needs improvement? Room members increments on connection, not on successful join. Disconnect always decrements even if socket never joined. It's too small right now. Only one on ID. No user left emit on disconnect yet. Need for step 4 lifecycle. Okay, yeah. We should probably get that done right away. You currently have a web TS error. Oh, this thing is called socket. Okay, we're going to change that right away. So what is this? So this is easy one, test sockets, and then we're going to go to page and update that. It's actually just name it all around. So that's fixed, and then let's go back to here. All right, so we need to add an on disconnect thing so that when they disconnect, we can add that logic. All right. Cool. And then let's go add. So we need to emit when the user disconnects, and we need to be listening to that on within the actual room space. So if they disconnect, we remove them from there if they were connected to that room. Yes, yes. So let's actually fix this pages thing here. Um, just any numbers array. Right, and then we're gonna have We're gonna have a member count. Perfect. Okay, so we have that fixed up too. All right, this is really starting to come together here. What is the type that we have for this? This is leave room. All right, just have a look at where I'm at because I have to go and I want to try to clean this up here while I'm here. Okay, so right now we are finally starting to get to the point where we're starting to receive and send stuff from the client and server. We're understanding it and kind of slowly trudging through it. I did have to kind of very much crutch on codecs in order to do the client the typing stuff because that was kind of going over my head, but it does make sense that the two main types that the socket can use are server to client events and client to server events. Now, right now, what we're trying to do is get the type system to work with on present snapshot and sending that correct information. So that's what I'm trying to build right now. On top of that, I do think we need to emit a leave room, and then we'll listen to that in the server within the present, or I mean the join room. So in here, we'll do another socket.on and say, hey, if someone's joined the room, let's check if they have left the room. If they have, we'll remove the room members from there. So we're not removing it anytime they disconnect. We're removing it only from people who actually joined that room, and we'll figure out a way to do that. So thanks for watching. I have part 2 of this here coming up very soon, where I basically just pick up from here. I most likely will just edit this as one thing and then pick up from this. So thank you for watching.